We're looking at a computer screen, and we assume that all of humanity on planet Earth is the same. Everyone has smartphones, electric cars, and spacecraft, an integral part of any society. But no, we have secluded ourselves and forgotten how vast the Earth is. There are still many remote and completely unexplored corners on it, and the people are so numerous and diverse. Obviously, not everyone is at the same level of progress, and there are ancient communities that resist it. Some people don't even know about it. Somewhere on the planet, mythical characters still dwell, and some mini-civilizations in isolated places have not been in contact with the outside world for hundreds of years. They simply don't need it. Why would one need a vacuum cleaner in the jungle? Some of these ancient tribes might be friendly, but not all, who knows? Maybe the forests are still full of cannibals, and the islands are populated by people with unknown genes and traditions. You're on the Top Facts channel, and today we'll uncover the truth about 15 of the strangest tribes you definitely know nothing about. The Korowai tribe. We start our list with the last cannibals. This primitive tribe lives in the thickets of tropical forests of Indonesia and still lives as their ancestors did 10,000 years ago. They are completely isolated from modern civilization and technology, have no access to medicines and doctors, and their average life expectancy is about 50 years. Currently, the tribe has about 3,000 people. Yes, they are exactly how you might imagine a tribe of cannibals from an adventure novel. Bare, with primitive bows and arrows, they hunt in the jungles and live in huge huts made of branches. Their beliefs are also archaic. They believe that death is caused by an evil demon named Kakua, who takes on the form of loved ones to deceive and kill its victims. That's why their traditions include sacrificing those supposedly possessed by Kakua. The flesh of these unfortunate ones is eaten by the entire clan. Until the 1970s, the Korowai tribe was completely unknown to the world until a group of researchers accidentally discovered them deep in the jungles. When the natives first saw white people, they naturally took them for ghosts. It's strange that such a prehistoric people still exist in the internet era, untouched by the passage of time. It was precisely because they did not eat the French guide who brought the white ghosts that he was able to bring us these images. Perhaps one of the most infamous cannibal tribes that ever existed is the Asmat tribe, living in the mangrove thickets of Papua New Guinea. Almost 65,000 people, scattered in small villages with 2,000 inhabitants each. These people are known as headhunters and cannibals who ate human flesh and brains and used the skulls of victims for their ceremonies. They also used skulls as pillows, souvenirs, or even spoons for food. Scary? Watch further. The Asmat believed they originated from the forest, so they revered it as sacred. Among the artifacts of their ancient culture, wooden statues and sculptures have been found made with great skill. Some of these relics are now kept in museums around the world. So there you have it, cannibals. It turns out they have not only sharp teeth, but also a sense of beauty. But there's another oddity. Their cannibalistic practice was selective. They hunted for names. Like maniacs, they collected a collection of the names of their victims. They believed that by killing and eating their kind, they took that person's strength along with their soul. Eat your neighbor, become them. Such a transmigration from body to body. So even the cannibals didn't have their own names. They appropriated the name of their victims. Children weren't even named until they grew up to the age of their first hunt. The rule of the game was simple. They needed to know the victim's name and could only take that name after they had eaten their flesh. The hunt usually meant attacks on enemy villages or unsuspecting visitors. Researcher Carl Hoffman published a book, Savage Harvest, where he accused this tribe of killing and eating Michael Rockefeller, an American ethnographer and anthropologist, and yes, the son of that very politician and banker, Nelson Rockefeller. Michael disappeared during an expedition to New Guinea in 1961, and this is a Hollywood story with a bad ending. So it's better to study some corners of the Earth remotely, which we will continue to do. On a remote island in Papua New Guinea lives a mysterious tribe known as the Skeleton Clan. Its peculiarity lies in their genes. The DNA of this group contains a trait of an unknown human species, which baffles scientists. The tribe even looks different. They make their bodies resemble skeletons, as if their bones are protruding from their flesh, and their eyes are truly red. This effect cannot be achieved with makeup, and as you can imagine, contact lenses are not popular there. This tribe stands out even among other indigenous people due to their aggressiveness. They have always attacked and killed members of other tribes. However, scientists managed to obtain DNA samples and discovered that they contained an unknown gene. This raises the question, either through the process of evolution, the tribes diverged into different human species, like breeds of animals, or perhaps they were sent here from somewhere else? Maybe we haven't found everyone on this planet yet. Even King Kong might be roaming the forests far away from here. In the mountainous part of Papua New Guinea, there is a settlement called Kundiawa. It's one of the many spurs of the valley formed by the Chimbu River, situated at an altitude of roughly 2,000 meters above sea level. There lives the Chimbu tribe, known for their extravagant appearance and strange dances. They too found a unique way to combat external threats. Dancing skeletons can scare enemies and also earn them tourism income. They cover their bodies with designs that mimic the structure of a skeleton, and dressed like this, they perform. These acts are not improvisations. The origins of their dance ritual date back to ancient times. The world of the Chimbu is also distinctive. They build huts in oval or rectangular shapes with earthen floors and low roofs. Interestingly, men live together in a sort of communal dwelling, while women, children, and pigs live in separate houses. Such a living arrangement offers better protection against sudden attacks, as these lands are constantly the bone of contention among neighbors. By the way, other tribes think that the Chimbu are possessed by the devil and don't particularly want contact with them, although the Chimbu tribe itself is not very aggressive. They simply found a creative way to adapt to the harsh environment. In the lands of Papua New Guinea, there resides the Asaro tribe, who have been nicknamed the Mud People. Not all indigenous tribes are necessarily bloodthirsty killers, even if they might look intimidating. Meet the Asaro people, translated as ghost. This tribe has a secret way of dealing with powerful enemies. They scare them with their appearance, and rightfully so. Why fight when you can simply strike fear? Members of the Asaro tribe resort to an ancient camouflage, natural swamp mud. A sure way to become invulnerable is to cover oneself from head to toe with it, and in a demonic mud mask on their heads, make slow movements as if in an enchanted sleep. Each member carries some weapon, for example, bows, spears, or clubs. Just imagine if such an ensemble quietly approached you in the middle of the jungle. That would be enough to make one stutter with fear. The Asaro began using this image when they were frequently attacked by neighboring hostile tribes. Once it worked, the attackers mistook them for the spirits of those they had already killed, were terrified to the core, and ran away. Realizing that this is an excellent way to avoid war, the tribe has continued the tradition ever since, and now masks are made by an experienced craftsman with a guarantee that each mask is unique. Some have tusks, some have fangs, but all look extremely frightening. In reality, the Mud Men are one of the friendliest tribes, recognizable thanks to their artistry. The band Pink Floyd dubbed them with the title Mudmen in one of their songs, and the Asaro are often invited to appear in movies, TV shows, and documentaries. This community is located in the central part of Papua New Guinea. There are many noteworthy tribes there that have not lost their identity to this day and have no plans to step into the 21st century. Another such tribe, which remained in the jungles and had no contact with anyone for millennia, is the Yai Pho tribe. Their first encounter with an outsider took place in 1988 when the famous traveler Benedict Allen was noted. The Brit was filming a documentary about a tribe that avoids civilization and did not use modern navigation tools or a phone. Upon entering the tribe, he couldn't just leave. Since he was received as a guest, He had to honor the hosts by participating in ritual dances and ceremonies, which, as you understand, took time. Benedict Allen made many people nervous. He disappeared, and you can't even drive a car in this area. To rescue a person by helicopter, you would at least need to know where he is. For understanding, the area where Yai Fo live is densely populated with crocodiles. Its thick jungle foliage, and the people manage to catch fish, grow edible crops, and even produce medicines there. The foreigner later appeared unharmed, stating that he spent several weeks among the Yai Fo, learning the intricacies of their natural life. Perhaps he didn't want to return to England with its fogs and rains. It's unclear how they communicated. Their language is unknown, but several qualities deserve special attention. Men possess the strength of a crocodile and can fearlessly withstand a duel with it, and they can also climb the trunks of tall trees very quickly without any equipment. So in reality, there's a place for superheroes. Deep in the south of Ethiopia, on the border with Kenya and South Sudan, there lives a tribe considered the most dangerous and aggressive in Africa. They are called the Mursi. But let's look at their real life. You will definitely not confuse them with anyone else. The women of this tribe outdid even Lady Gaga in eccentricity. According to their fashion, the lips should be rolled so far that an entire plate fits on them, and not just any plate, but one with ornamentation. A mosaic made up of corn grains, bones, leaves, and berries. Even 45 other tribes living in the same area can't keep up with the Mursi. Their portraits have often graced the covers of many popular travel publications, sparking keen interest among photographers and even tourists to go and see them in person. The tribe is also interested in visitors. Again, it's business. One thing that should warn you before leaving your town to bake flatbreads with them in a hut. The men carry a virus which they might get during clashes with hyenas. What to say? Their life is hard. In search of water, they might move from place to place, and they have to fight with other tribes for territory, but they have found a way to use their unique features for survival. So the Mursi don't mind being photographed. They might line up along the road in ceremonial attire with their lip plates, which they will promptly offer for sale. They want to be paid for each shot, not per session. So if you're planning a visit to an African village, study how the local show business works. And they wear the plates in their lips only for the camera and a chance to see themselves on the cover of the travel magazine. Many indigenous tribes still practice various strange and painful socialization rituals. One such tribe is the Suri, a tribe living in the southwest of Ethiopia. The Suri are famous for their brutal rituals and contests for the right to own the primary wealth, large cattle. Suri women manage the household and men are in charge of herding. For the women, there is a particular torment. They are known for their huge rolled lips into which plates are inserted, similar to what the Mursi tribe wears. Each woman has to go through this painful process, and the bigger her lip plate, the more cattle her family owns. Boys at a young age are assigned to raise at least one calf, and they take its name. And then, the next stage of responsibility. They must survive a brutal stick fight to prove readiness to marry. Before marriage, a man must have a minimum number of cattle, which is given to the bride's family. Later, adult men undergo scarification rituals. They inflict scars on their skin, symbolizing how many enemies they've killed. The importance of large cattle in their life cannot be overstated. Note that they don't slaughter cows for meat, but breed them for milk. But once a month, they bleed the calves to drink the blood. They mourn the death of an animal from their herd and are ready to fight to the death, defending them from enemy tribes. This is how the archaic Suri tribe lives, and it's not about a love for beef. It's a completely different matter. Not all tribes are left in peace by the world. Some become victims of humanity's dark sides. A tragic fate awaited the Yanomami tribe, with a population of around 35,000 people living in about 250 villages in the Amazon rainforest in northern Brazil and southern Venezuela. Just imagine, it's the largest indigenous group in South America, inhabiting land equivalent to 2 Switzerlands, and has remained isolated from the rest of the world for 15,000 years since they migrated from Asia. The first contact with outsiders occurred only in the 1940s when Brazilian inhabitants began to invade the forests and seize lands. From this point, it's as if a curse was cast on the tribe. A series of misfortunes followed. The initial contact infected many residents as they lacked immunity to external infections. Many died and then more deaths ensued. Miners with weapons invaded their territory, leading to conflict. Over 7 years, the tribe lost 20% of its population. Yanomami people are not particularly cruel by nature, and they live by their rules. The main behavior of men is hunting, while women handle household and land. Their massive huts can accommodate up to 400 people, and they also work in large groups. They have a peculiar hierarchy. There's no chief, and all decisions are made by voting, as the majority decides. In general, it's pure democracy and ideal. It's unfortunate that these people are still being displaced from their lands. Although in 1992 local authorities limited mining activity in the Yanomami region, it does not save them from attacks. Every year, tribe members die due to conflicts. Shootings and diseases overshadow their existence because someone's greed knows no bounds. It's important to remember that their lives are as valuable as everyone else's on the planet. Varani is not a single tribe, but an entire indigenous group of tribes, Tagari, Vinyatare, Onyaminane, that reside in Ecuador and avoid contact with the outside world, continuing to lead a nomadic life in the forests. Once, this nation occupied the most significant part of the region, but now there are only about 2,000 of them left, hiding in the woods. Like in James Fenimore Cooper's novel, they are the last representatives of their kind and all indigenous Indians of South America. They were first discovered in 1958 by a group of missionaries who tried to convert some of them to Christianity, thinking they were providing them with resources and a chance to familiarize with society. However, it did not bring good to Varani, but rather diseases and deaths. Some fell victim to murder, some died of infections. This tribe are nomads, hunters, and gatherers, living off nature's gifts. They utilize everything that nature can offer, from animal hides to medicinal herbs. Varani's temperament is uncompromising and quite cruel. They have the highest murder rate among all known tribes of the country. Groups often fight over territory, food, and resources, but they also fall victim to deforestation and modernizations, such as oil well construction, settlements, and the acquisition of land by modern people into private property. This has driven Varani deeper into the jungle. Now there are only 2,000 of them, and they are not as cruel as their ancestors, just trying their best to survive in stark contrast with the frantic development around them. If this tribe loses its living space, it remains entirely unprotected and might soon go extinct. It would be sad if this happens, and only the memory of the real Indians and the books of James Fenimore Cooper and Mayne Reid will remain. It's not always clear how to establish contact with a tribe that has been in isolation for centuries. To them, we seem like aliens from another planet. Sometimes things go terribly wrong, while in some cases it works positively. A small tribe of around 200 people resides in the thickets of Brazil, not far from the Peruvian border. The small but proud Karubo tribe was first discovered in 1996, and since then, several attempts have been made to contact them. Only in 2019 did the Karubo agree to interact with the local indigenous agency. The organization worked for their well-being. In the end, 36 tribe members were vaccinated, which gave them immunity to many modern diseases. So this mission was a success. Karubo is a warrior clan, the very one that uses blowpipes with deadly poison darts. Many even accuse them of cannibalism, though in a recent conflict with another tribe, they were the victims. The opponents had weapons, and after the Karubo killed 2 of the attackers, they retaliated with shotguns and killed 10 people. It was only the intervention of local authorities that stopped the bloodshed. Perhaps out of a reluctance to engage with this iron and brutal world called society, the Karubo and other tribes retreat further into the thickets and mountains. Somehow, the Mashko Piro indigenous tribe has survived and continues to live in isolation for centuries deep within the jungles of the Manu National Park in Peru. This increasingly concerns the local administration. A tribe that previously had no contact with others is now starting to communicate with neighboring villages, and the outcomes can be unpredictable. Sometimes they are peaceful and seek metal objects, knives and pots, but then suddenly, without reason, they become hostile. A few years ago, they killed a 21-year-old fisherman with an arrow. Tensions are rising and threatening to become dangerous. Debates are ongoing in the government about whether these people are interested in contact with the outside world, or if these random encounters do not bode well. Firstly, for the tribe itself, since they lack immunity to foreign infections, any virus could be fatal. Occasionally, tourists curious to visit and photograph the tribe come with gifts, but there's no guarantee that these people, essentially wild, won't behave brutally for reasons only they understand. In general, the communication process can't be called stable. Caution is required to prevent another national disaster in Peru. This indigenous tribe is an example of maximum harmony with nature and also the most secretive people on the planet. The native group, hidden deep within the eastern Amazon of Brazil, in other words, living in the impenetrable jungle, is under serious threat of extinction due to poachers who are deforesting. Once, the Ava Indians even had legal rights to this land, but this means nothing to modern bandits. Ava are generally a friendly people, but they carry handmade bows and spears for self-defense. Their physique differs from most indigenous tribes. They are noticeably smaller, perhaps a result of life in rainforests where even plants and animals are of a smaller size. This tribe has some strange marriage traditions. Since they have more men than women, women are allowed to have more than one husband, and childbirth is considered a collective achievement, with all men potentially being the father participating in upbringing. Where have you seen children having several fathers? But that's not all. Given the clear population deficit, inbreeding is allowed, and it's not uncommon for a grandfather to marry his own granddaughter. Although this sounds terrible, there are few other options for the dwindling population. Now, they want to be left alone. They are not interested in the outside world or money. They just want to be where they belong. They just want to be. Why do we, progressive people, find this absurd? And wouldn't you want the same, to simply live on your land without anyone bothering you? Now, from South America, we move to Asia, to the mountains of the Philippines, where a tribe is on the verge of disappearing from the face of the earth. The Batak people consist of just 450 members, the smallest tribe in the country. It is believed they settled on the coast about 50,000 years ago, but as soon as people began to take over lands, the Bataks had only two options: to fight or flee. The peace-loving Batak people chose the latter and began settling in the mountains. Their philosophy is to live peacefully and avoid war. They believe that all objects in nature, birds, insects, plants, animals, and even inanimate things like stones are alive and contain spirits. That's why the Batak people still live by gathering, and polygamy in their society is seen as a sign of a man's strength. The more children, the mightier the man. However, after being introduced to the concept of Christianity, they transitioned to monogamy, leading to a significant and rapid decline in their numbers. They have had to resort to the highly undesirable, marrying outside their tribe to survive with just 50 remaining families. Yes, can you imagine? Not only can one lineage end, but an entire tribe or even a nation can cease to exist. And how many ethnic groups and nations which we didn't even know about have already vanished from the planet? Sentinel Tribe. North Sentinel Island is one of the Andaman Islands in the Bay of Bengal of the Indian Ocean and is officially governed by India. However, this island is home to a tribe that has been self-governing for many thousands of years, and there's probably no other community more isolated from the world than these northern Sentinelese. Their mere existence on the island speaks volumes. They want no external contact and tend to attack anyone who approaches them. These folks are completely cut off from modern progress, and all the technologies of the contemporary world mean nothing to them. They still live in the Stone Age, wearing minimal clothing made from animal hides and leaves, living in huts, and subsisting on whatever God has provided on the island: fruits, animals, and fish. Modern people have tried approaching them with boats loaded with gifts, just as the early explorers and colonizers did. But in most instances, the sentries simply attacked the newcomers with arrows from the shore. In 2018, the sentries killed an approaching American and also a couple of Indian fishermen. They even tried firing arrows at helicopters, defending their borders. Although these helicopters managed to capture some footage of this group's life, imagine they are thriving and living well with many children and pregnant women among them. They don't need money or plastic cards, smartphones, or targeted advertising, and are unaffected by global events. Arguably, the most significant threat to this isolated tribe is external diseases. So, don't be envious. Though they have an abundance of bananas and coconuts, the life of a closed community is a very fragile ecosystem. So friends, that's all for today. These were the most incredible and eerie tribes you'd better never encounter. If you enjoyed this episode and want to see something similar, hit the like button, leave your comments, don't forget to subscribe to the Top Facts channel, and check out our previous top episodes right now.